this is a different challenge and one that I'm really looking forward to work with some really good young players in what's in a really exciting period for them, working into a World Cup. I've got fond memories of that myself from my playing days, albeit a long time ago, and keen to see where it can go. I think he'll benefit from that experience. He likes challenge, he doesn't take a backward step, but he's got this ability to handle himself, and that's priceless. You can't coach that. I suppose that the last England U19 World Cup they lost in the final and did really well in that competition. Some really good, outstanding young players came through who've gone on to represent England and are now established within county cricket. So I think you're looking at that and saying, right, okay, that's the bare minimum, and that's where we need to find ourselves.
Paul, another winter dawns and another winter assignment for you, this time with England under-19s out in India and then Sri Lanka in the new year for the World Cup. How much are you looking forward to this one? Yeah,
exciting time and something that came a little bit out of the blue, if I'm honest. I didn't know what this winter was going to look like, particularly after spending a lot of time away last winter. Both from a professional and a family point of view, that was a big upheaval for me, and very respectful of the fact that Notts had given me a big chunk of time away from the club, which with the benefit of hindsight was great and gave me a lot of learnings from that. But this is a different challenge and one that I'm really looking forward to work with some really good young players in what's in a really exciting period for them, working into a World Cup. I've got fond memories of that myself from my playing days, albeit a long time ago, and keen to see where it can go.
Is it a bit of a no-brainer for you, for your coaching journey, when opportunities like this come up?
Yeah, it can be. Obviously, I speak to Nick and Pete and take their counsel, as I always do, on what opportunities do arise. This was always going to be subtly different, but no less exciting. Working with exciting young players is always fun. Never consistent and never necessarily in a straight line, but there'll be lots of talent, and it's something I'm really looking forward to.
And can you give us a bit of an insight into what an under-19s World Cup is like? As you say, you've been there yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know how similar it is now. But
yeah, I guess the game's changed a lot since the late 90s. What the players are capable of now at that age was very different to what we were trying to do. But that's nonetheless to say that the expectation will be there. We had high expectations of ourselves, and we found form at the right time in the competition. And I'm sure this group of under-19 players will be looking to do exactly the same.
How do you go into a group of under-19s players? Clearly it's very different from this time last year or a little bit earlier than that, when you were going to domestic competition in Pakistan, and do you have to approach things in slightly different ways depending on what the group is like? Yeah,
a little bit. You have to build some relationships and build them quickly. We've got a camp and we've got a trip coming up where we'll get an opportunity to do that before the World Cup starts in the new year. So that's something that I pride myself on. Try and find out little bits about them. Nothing to do with cricket. We know a lot about their cricket already. It's more to do with the football teams they support and what they like to do, and try and build a good relationship with them in that space, and work out how they like to work as well. How do they like to train? What do they like to try and explore in their practice, to give them the best chance to go out and show the world what they've got.
And when you're meeting this group of players, do you go in already armed with a bit of information about them, as you say, not just about cricket, but about them as people, so you can build those relationships quickly? Yeah,
we do. It's not too dissimilar to what we would do here.
Yeah.
If we've got young guys coming through our system that we don't know a lot about, and they come into second team or first team practice, we like to know a little bit about them, just so that they don't seem too shy, or we don't seem too standoffish, just to try and make it a little bit easier, because going anywhere for the first time can be quite daunting. So look, yeah, it's something I really thrive off, trying to get to know people quickly and build some meaningful relationships.
And it's a new set of coaches to work with as well as the players. Does that help improve you as well, learning new things off different people? Yeah,
different management teams create different challenges. It's always a little bit bumpy to start with. You get to know how people work and how they like to try and be at their best. So look, that'll be no different to anybody and any team in the world when you're setting out on a new challenge. But learning from some really experienced people who've been there before and travelled extensively. So trying to pick up as much as I can in that space.
And clearly for the players, one of the biggest challenges is going to be handling sub-continent experience, which some of them might never have done before. How do you go approach passing any information that you have onto them, and how much is it almost up to them to learn on the job a little bit? Yeah,
there is a little bit of that. You're trying to give them the benefit of your experience. I've been lucky to travel quite extensively to that part of the world and spent some time understanding pitches and conditions, and you don't want to almost tell them what to do. You've got to give them the benefit of your experience. It's more a case of you understanding what they need to know and what they think they already know, and marry the two together so that they can go out and perform really, really well. So yeah, look, that'll be an individually based thing. there'll be stuff for the team as a whole and stuff for the individuals within it, which I'm sure will get the message across.
And we got more Notts representation in Farhan Ahmed, who
Yeah.
you had the pleasure of watching a lot of over the last year or two. What do you think he offers to the side and brings to the group in general, and how much does it help you having a bit of a relationship there as well to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I spent a couple of days with the under-19s this summer during the Australia series. I was really impressed with how he handled himself. The Australians were strong. He was under pressure for those during those games, and he handled it really, really well, which for a young man, and he is still a very young man, was very, very impressive. And I think he'll benefit from that experience. He likes challenge. He doesn't take a backward step, but he's got this ability to handle himself, and that's priceless. You can't coach that. He's mature beyond his years. And in a way that I think he'll continue to develop. I think these conditions in India and Sri Lanka may well suit him more than some of the ones he's faced in the UK last summer. And it'll be our responsibility and his responsibility to give him the best chance to succeed.
Yeah, a wider question, I suppose, on the spin group, because they're probably the ones who are going to go out there facing the greatest challenge potentially between what they play on here and what they play on over there.
Yeah.
I guess, how do you tell them that they've been picked for a reason, they don't have to change too much to find success out there?
No, I think it's dealing with the expectation a little bit as well. So if the ball does turn, it's knowing how to handle that expectation of taking wickets, whilst also being able to deal with controlling the run rate and doing what the captain and the team and the game decides that you have to do. So look, within that, I think the boys will all find their own way of dealing with stuff. We're there purely to support them in what should be a really exciting time. It's playing in a World Cup against your peers is always a great measure of where you're at. I think we'll learn a lot about them. Hopefully we can have some success along the way.
And what will the criteria for success be over the next 6 months or so? Is it looking as far as sort of getting to the final, winning it, or are you looking at players individually and how they're developing?
I think everything, if I'm honest. I suppose that the last England U19 World Cup they lost in the final and did really well in that competition. Some really good, outstanding young players came through. Who've gone on to represent England and are now established within county cricket. So I think you're looking at that and saying, right, okay, that's the bare minimum, and that's where we need to find ourselves. Is producing players that will eventually go on to play for England and ultimately county cricket. So look, that's what we expect. I think the crux of doing well in knockout cricket is always that. It's turning up on the day when you need to. First of all, get yourself established, understand what's going on during the group stages, where are we going to be, who are we playing against, what the conditions need, and then can we react to that and play some really good cricket. I think if we can, who's to say we can't go on to some really good things.